It was a quiet evening when I got home. The sun was setting, and the streets were empty. As I climbed the stairs to my apartment, I noticed something strange. My door was slightly open. I always locked it, so this made me nervous. I stepped inside and looked around. Everything seemed normal, but the air felt heavy, like something was wrong. I told myself I was just tired, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been here. I checked the rooms, but nothing was missing. Still, I couldn't relax. Something didn't feel right. The next morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have come back." My hands shook as I read it. Who sent this? Was it a prank? I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. I decided to check my security camera footage from last night. My heart raced as I watched the recording. At 11:47 p.m., a shadowy figure entered my apartment. They moved quietly, like they knew the place well. I felt a chill run down my spine. Someone had been inside, and they didn't want me to know. I called the police, but they said there wasn't enough evidence to investigate. Frustrated, I decided to look for clues myself. I searched my apartment carefully. That's when I found it. A small piece of paper under my pillow. It wasn't there before. I unfolded it and read the message. "You're being watched." My stomach dropped. Who was watching me? And why? I felt like I was being pulled into something dangerous. This wasn't just a random break-in. Someone was targeting me, and I had no idea why. I stayed with a friend for a few days, hoping things would calm down. But the messages kept coming. Every time I checked my phone, there was a new warning. Don't trust anyone. They're closer than you think. You're running out of time. I felt like I was losing my mind. My friend tried to comfort me, but even she seemed uneasy. One night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps outside her apartment. I peeked through the blinds and saw a figure standing in the shadows, staring right at me. I froze. They knew where I was. The next day, I decided to face my fears. I went back to my apartment to look for answers. As I searched, I found an old photo album. Flipping through it, I stopped at a picture of me and my childhood best friend, Mia. We were inseparable until she suddenly moved away without explanation. Looking closer, I noticed a strange symbol scribbled in the corner of the photo. It was the same symbol I had seen on the note under my pillow. My heart raced. Was Mia involved in this? Or was someone using her to mess with me? I tried calling Mia, but her number was disconnected. I reached out to her family, and her mother answered. She told me Mia had disappeared years ago, and they had never found her. My mind was spinning. Could this be connected to what was happening to me? I searched online for clues about Mia's disappearance. I found a forum where people discussed unsolved mysteries. One post caught my eye. "If you're reading this, you're not alone. They're watching you too." I felt a mix of fear and hope. Maybe I wasn't the only one going through this. The forum post included a link to a private chat group. I joined it, hoping for answers. The group was filled with people sharing similar experiences, strange messages, break-ins, and the feeling of being watched. One user, named Shadow, claimed to know who was behind it all. They said it was a secret organization that targeted people who knew too much. I typed a response. "What do they want from us?" Shadow replied, "They want to silence us. Forever." My hands trembled. I was in deeper than I thought. Shadow agreed to meet me, but only if I followed their instructions carefully. They told me to come alone and leave my phone behind. I was scared, but I had no choice. The meeting place was an abandoned warehouse. As I approached, my heart pounded. The door creaked open, and I stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the only light came from a flickering bulb. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. Then, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come." I spun around, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Shadow. They handed me a folder filled with documents and photos. My hands shook as I flipped through them. The photos were of people I didn't know, but the documents detailed their lives and their deaths. Shadow explained that these people had all been targeted by the same organization. They had uncovered a secret so dangerous that it cost them their lives. I felt a lump in my throat. "What did they find?" I asked. Shadow leaned closer. "The truth." They told me the organization was experimenting with mind control, using technology to manipulate people's thoughts.
Shadow handed me a small device, explaining that it could block the signals used to control my mind. "Use it wisely," they said. Before I could ask more questions, Shadow disappeared into the darkness. I returned home, clutching the device tightly. That night, I slept with it under my pillow, hoping it would protect me. But my dreams were filled with nightmares. Shadowy figures chasing me, whispers in the dark, and a voice saying, "You can't escape." I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding. The device was glowing faintly. Was it working? Or was it a sign they were getting closer? The next morning, I decided to confront my fears. I went to the library to research mind control experiments. Most of the books were outdated, but one caught my eye, a memoir by a former scientist who claimed to have worked on a secret government project. The details were vague, but it mentioned a facility hidden in the mountains. My hands trembled as I read. Could this be where the experiments were happening? I knew I had to find out, but going there alone would be dangerous. I needed help, but who could I trust? I reached out to the forum again, hoping someone would join me. A user named Echo responded immediately. They claimed to have been to the facility and offered to guide me. We agreed to meet at a cafe. When I arrived, I was shocked to see a familiar face. It was Mia. She looked older, but it was definitely her. My heart raced as she explained that she had been hiding for years, trying to expose the truth. She apologized for disappearing, saying she had no choice. I wanted to be angry, but I was just relieved to see her alive. Mia and I spent the next few days planning our trip to the facility. She warned me it would be dangerous, but I knew I couldn't back down now. We packed supplies and left early one morning, driving deep into the mountains. As we approached the facility, my stomach churned with fear. The building was massive, surrounded by high fences and security cameras. Mia led me to a hidden entrance, and we slipped inside unnoticed. The air was cold, and the walls were lined with strange symbols. I felt like I was walking into a nightmare. We moved silently through the facility, avoiding guards and cameras. Mia led me to a room filled with monitors and strange equipment. My heart stopped when I saw what was on the screens. Dozens of people, their eyes blank, being controlled like puppets. I felt sick to my stomach. Mia handed me a flash drive, telling me to download the data. As I plugged it in, alarms blared and the lights turned red. We had been discovered. Mia grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the exit. "Run!" she shouted. But as we turned the corner, we were met by a group of armed guards. The guards surrounded us, their weapons aimed at our heads. I thought it was over, but then Mia did something unexpected. She activated the device Shadow had given me. The guards froze, their expressions blank. Mia grabbed my hand and we ran as fast as we could. We didn't stop until we were far away from the facility. As we caught our breath, Mia explained that the device had temporarily disrupted the mind control signals. We had the evidence we needed, but the fight wasn't over. I knew we had to expose the truth no matter the cost. This was just the beginning. We returned home with the flash drive, determined to share the truth with the world. But the organization wasn't going to let us go that easily. The messages started again. "You can't hide, we're coming for you." I knew we were running out of time. Mia and I worked day and night to prepare the evidence for the public. One night, as I sat at my desk, I heard a noise outside. I looked out the window and saw a shadowy figure standing in the distance. They were watching me again. I took a deep breath. This wasn't over, but I wasn't going to give up.